What's up everyone, my name is Midnight Strike 3625 and I am back today for another album review. First album review I have done in a number of years, and we are joined today by the newest member of the household, Cloud, named after the Final Fantasy character. My wife named him. Today we are going to be reviewing a remix album, as Wikipedia calls it. I just like to call it a reconstruction, like Lacuna Coil themselves call it, but that is of course the album Comalies XX. The XX, of course, being Roman numerals for 20, signifying 20 years since the original release of Comalies, which is to many their best and most accomplished work to date. I myself am a Delirium fan, but I absolutely love all of their work, with the exception of maybe Broken Crown Halo, as many of you have seen on my review of that album with one of my friends on a live stream back in 2014 when it came out. So, basically to kick this off, this is one of the best remix albums that I have ever heard, and I'm comparing it of course to such classics as Reanimation by Linkin Park, Collision Course also by Linkin Park, and there have been a number of recordings by bands such as the Scorpions where they've gone in and re-recorded bits and pieces of their works, but never actually a full-fledged album. Twisted Sister have also done the same thing to mixed results. I've never really been interested in re-recordings because if it ain't broke, don't fix it, that's my opinion, but it is definitely interesting to see what Lacuna Coil have done in the meantime to bring this album into 2022, as this was originally recorded and released. So, the album itself comes with the original Comalies XX, which I actually have in my car right now, as well as the original album, right here, Comalies. So it actually lets you determine and compare and contrast the differences between the two albums. So already that is a huge plus in my mind, because I never really gave Comalies much of a listen back when I first got into Lacuna Coil in 2012. I always thought they were this, the gothic metal, very atmospheric and dreary, kind of mysterious band, but I like their more commercial side from Karma Code all the way up to Dark Adrenaline, which was the most recent album when I had listened to them at first, and it was also my favorite album back in the day. Like I said, I'm much more of a Delirium fan, but their newest album, Black Anima, is also very good. I might actually get to that sometime. Came out in 2019, and they released 2 singles after the album, Bad Things and Never Dawn, which are also very good non-album singles. So, basically, what you see is what you get with Comalies XX. It comes with the same tracks that were on the original release, but as they said, it was transported into 2022. Basically Comalies, but with their same style from 2022. The album follows the exact same structure as the original Comalies back in 2002, with one key difference being that each song now has XX after the title to differentiate it from the original. And I think that is very important, given the fact that we do have all the original songs from the original album on this release, as well as the newly reimagined versions. They are some of the best reimaginings that I have ever heard, especially such songs as Swamped XX, Tightrope XX, and of course, Heaven is a Lie XX. But these are some of Lacuna Coil's signature songs, and they sound right at home in this new style. Some of the songs fit seamlessly, others you can't really tell that they've had to do much to them, and others still sound like completely new entities altogether, such as the song Aeon, which begins with somewhat of a atmospheric tone in the original with the guitars, but they slow it down, they clear it up, and it sounds almost harmonizing in the new one. It's still very atmospheric, but it sounds like a new song entirely. Tightrope XX kind of just sounds like the exact same thing, with the exception of it being heavier and a lot more screaming, I suppose, since the original release did not feature unclean vocals pretty much at all whatsoever. That's a new thing that Andrea had basically been experimenting with a little bit here and there on songs such as Half-Life from 2000 at that point, but hadn't really come to full fruition like he did from Broken Crown Halo all the way up until present day. And that is something that I did want to talk about on this review, is that Andrea Farrow screams pretty much everything on here. Whereas on the original release, it used to be all cleans. Here we have all screaming, with the exception of a few lines in the song Swamped XX, which used to feature his cleans. He'll sing some voices, some of the vocals in the beginning, but then he'll transition pretty rapidly and pretty quickly into unclean vocals. And there is some melody that is lost in the transition, where he was a very talented singer from the start. And there's some of that harmony and resonation with Christina Scabia's vocals that is really missing and really lacking from the later releases post-Delirium, such as with Black Anima. You really started noticing that he was starting to focus more on his unclean sound, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because he does have a good screaming voice. However, there is something that is lost in the transition, of course, as I have said. And I think that is definitely evident here, whereas you don't really get many clean vocals at all whatsoever. So you have a couple instances here and there, and that definitely has carried on into the song Never Dawn, which was released earlier this year. And while it's a good song, I am kind of missing Andrea Farrow's clean vocals in the band's newer material. I think it would definitely complement the songs quite well, especially when we have heard these songs before with his cleans, albeit in a more stripped down format on the original Comalies, but they were still absolutely wonderful in complementing this. So all in all, I would say this is one of their stronger releases. It does have some drawbacks, like I said, with the harsh or unclean vocals basically dominating the entire album, aside from the harmonization with Christina Scabia and her vocals coming in there, which these vocals do really shine. Christina Scabia is one of the best, if not the best, female vocalist out there in metal right now. In my opinion, she's my favorite, but I can't really speak for everyone. So basically, it does not disappoint on this album at all, and it's something that definitely should not be missed. That's pretty much all I have. I am going to give this album, let's see, just 9.5 out of 10. But other than the fact that the screaming vocals are a little bit domineering or dominating on this release, I think that's really the only drawback that I would say, because these songs are very well crafted. And of course, their original version, the fact that it even includes the original Comalies, is something that you would not have heard about otherwise. And a lot of people probably haven't heard the original Comalies, and that's something that the band has definitely taken into consideration. So, with that, 9.5 out of 10. The algorithm wants me to tell you to like and subscribe if you like what you see. More is to come. This is Midnight Strike 3625, and you can all keep calm and rock on. Thank you.